So today we're going to take some time and read a little bit from an article called "Is Google Making Us Stupid?" Now I know it's a funny title and we can laugh at that, but there's a lot of interesting things in here that I'd like us to think about as we're talking and discussing and reading. So as we're reading through it, a couple things to think about is just the role that technology plays in your life and your dependency on technology. So think about those two things, and then think about how technology is used as a learning tool, both in and out of the classroom. Just keep those things in the back of your mind as we're reading today, and we'll stop here and there and we'll discuss a few things, but just keep those in mind as we go. Dave, stop. Stop, will you? Stop, Dave. Will you stop, Dave? So the supercomputer Hal pleads with the implacable astronaut Dave Bowman in a famous and weirdly poignant scene toward the end of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. Now, has anyone here seen 2001 A Space Odyssey? A few. I'm embarrassed to say that as a film guy, I haven't seen this movie. It is on my list of things to see. I know a little bit about the film, this idea of will artificial intelligence go too far, what happens to humanity when it does, those are some of the implications, and I think that's just something to keep in the back of our mind as we're discussing technology, so I'm just curious to see who all has seen it. Bowman, having nearly been sent to a deep space death by the malfunctioning machine, is calmly, coldly disconnecting the memory circuits that control its artificial brain. Dave, my mind is going, Hal says forlornly. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it too. Over the past few years, I've had an uncomfortable sense that someone, or something, has been tinkering with my brain, remapping the neural circuitry, reprogramming the memory. My mind isn't going, so far as I can tell, but it's changing. I'm not thinking the way I used to think. I can feel it most strongly when I'm reading. Immersing myself in a book or a lengthy article used to be easy. My mind would get caught up in the narrative or the turns of the argument, and I'd spend hours strolling through long stretches of prose. That's rarely the case anymore. Now my concentration often starts to drift after 2 or 3 pages. I get fidgety, lose the thread, begin looking for something else to do. I feel as if I'm always dragging my wayward brain back to the text. The deep reading that used to come naturally has become a struggle. Who can relate to that? I can. And I love to read, but there's times where I'll be reading something and I find myself just reading the same line over and over again and not getting anywhere on the page. Can anyone relate? Okay, you can be honest. I know this is an English class and we're expected to read a lot. You're not going to get in trouble. Yeah, good. Yeah, a lot of us feel that way. It's understandable. It's natural. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the increasing use of technology in our lives. And, we'll keep talking about that. But just this idea that technology has given us access to everything like that. Okay? So keep that in mind. I think I know what's going on. For more than a decade now, I've been spending a lot of time online, searching and surfing, and sometimes adding to the great databases of the internet. The web has been a godsend to me as a writer. Research that once required days in the stacks or periodical rooms of libraries. You all know what a library is, right? Big room, lots of books. Yeah, okay. Research that once required days in the stacks or periodical rooms of libraries can now be done in minutes. A few Google searches, some quick clicks on hyperlinks, and I've got the telltale fact or pithy quote I was after. Even when I'm not working, I'm as likely as not to be foraging in the web's info thickets, reading and writing emails, scanning headlines and blog posts, watching videos and listening to podcasts, or just tripping from link to link to link. Sounds pretty about right? I mean, let's be honest. How many of you have gone on to YouTube, clicked on a YouTube video to watch, just intending to watch one, and about an hour later you've watched a dozen or so videos? Yeah, I'm guilty. We all are. I mean, let's be honest. That's one of the brilliant things that YouTube has designed. You got your video, You got your recommended videos on the side. You see something, some catchy headline, and an image that may or may not have anything to do with the video. It grabs our attention, and they're quick, and they're short. They're fun. For me, as for others, the net is becoming a universal medium, the conduit for most of the information that flows through my eyes and ears and into my mind. The advantages of having immediate access to such an incredibly rich store of information are many, and they've been widely described and duly applauded. The perfect recall of silicone memory, Wired's Clive Thompson has written, can be an enormous boon to thinking, but that boon comes at a price. As the media theorist Marshall McLuhan pointed out in the 1960s, media are not just passive channels of information. They supply the stuff of thought, but they also shape the process of thought. Think about that for a minute. Media doesn't just supply thought, it shapes how we think. Something to think about, something to consider. And what the net seems to be doing is chipping away my capacity for concentration and contemplation. My mind now expects to take in information the way the net is distributed in a swiftly moving stream of particles. What were we talking about earlier? Just the internet and technology gives us everything now, right at our fingertips. I mean, almost all of us have smartphones, right? I mean, it's pretty much impossible to get anything but a smartphone these days. You can, but they make it hard. And with smartphones, the internet is right there in the palm of our hand. And we have instant access to information, instant access to just incredibly quick computing power. I mean, it's amazing how far technology has come in just a few decades ago. You know, computers could take up an entire room, one computer. And now we have supercomputers in the palm of our hands, spitting out information at lightning quick speeds. I mean, it's changed the way the world works. Let's be honest, it has. You know, things are different, and we have to, you know, adjust accordingly. So. Once I was a scuba diver in the sea of words. Now I zip along the surface like a guy on a jet ski. I want to read that again real quick. Once I was a scuba diver in the sea of words. Now I zip along the surface like a guy on a jet ski. That's some great imagery, and for a few reasons. One is because it's something that we all understand. We can all relate to it. Now maybe we all haven't been on a jet ski, or we all haven't been scuba diving, but we understand what that means. We understand, or we've maybe seen videos of scuba divers under the water. We've seen people flying across the lake on a jet ski. So the first thing I want to ask you to do is consider the imagery there, and then consider how in your own writing you would use imagery to describe things to your audience. What words, what comparisons are you going to use to get your meaning across in the most effective and captivating way? Okay? That's important to us, you know, as writers. This is an English lit class, okay? You're going to be doing some writing. So think about that, okay? Now, there's two sentences here, and you know, it speaks to a couple literary terms that you're going to want to think of as you're thinking of those contrasts in your writing. Simile and metaphor. Can anyone describe what a simile, what a metaphor is? It's okay if you're wrong, someone take a guess. Yeah, okay, so simile and a metaphor are simple literary tools that we use to compare something to something else in order to explain to our audience, give them a better sense of what it means or what it is. And a simile does that using like or as. So I don't think these are perfect examples of simile and metaphor. They're okay, but I want you guys to think about that in your writing. So now I zip along the surface like a guy on a jet ski. Okay? And in the context of the article and technology and our uses, let's look at that a little more. A scuba diver, they're underwater. Everything's in front of them. They can see, depending on where they're diving, incredibly beautiful coral reefs. amazing aquatic life. They got this whole big picture right in front of them. Okay? Can you do that with your writing? Can you paint this big picture so people get the grand scope of what you're trying to say? Or, like the rider on the jet ski, is your focus more narrow? Jet ski, let's be honest, jet skis are a lot of fun, but you're flying across the water, going so fast, things around you are a blur, water spraying in your face. You can't see the whole picture, okay? So what he's saying is, he used to be a scuba diver. He'd see the whole picture and appreciate it, but now it's just what's right in front of him, in what's immediately there. You guys understand that? In the sense of how technology impacts our lives? We're just driven by the immediate. I'm not the only one. When I mention my troubles with reading to friends and acquaintances, literary types most of them, many say they're having similar experiences. The more they use the web, the more they have to fight to stay focused on long pieces of writing. Some of the bloggers I follow have also begun mentioning the phenomenon. Scott Clark, who writes a blog about online media, recently confessed that he has stopped reading books altogether. That pains me. Quote, I was a lit major in college and used to be a voracious book reader. That's not there for me. Voracious. I love that word. It's a great word. Voracious. Does anyone know what voracious means? Anyone? Yeah, that's pretty good. Voracious, exceedingly eager, you're avid about something, or you think about it in terms of a voracious appetite. You just consume and crave and eat. I mean, it's just you can't get enough of it. Voracious. Try using fun words like that in your own writing. You don't. I don't want anyone to think that they have to use, really long, seemingly smart words in their writing. But think about how you can use some colorful words here and there. Like, voracious reader. This is, it paints this more powerful picture than just saying, I like to read. Doesn't it? So just keep that in your mind as you're doing your own writing. Okay? So let's see. He was a voracious book reader, he wrote. What happened? He speculates on the answer. Quote, what if I do all my reading on the web, not so much because the way I read has changed, i.e., I'm just seeking convenience, but because the way I think has changed. Okay, let's go over that again. So, what if I do all my reading on the web, not so much because the way I read has changed, the way he reads, he's just seeking convenience, but because the way he thinks has changed. Has technology changed the way we think? Not just the way we get our information, but the way we think. That, I don't know, to me that, I don't know about you, but to me that's a little scary. That, think about how much time we spend on our smartphones, that a little device can impact my brain in such a way that it changes the very nature of how I process information. These are the questions that are plaguing us today. But how does that impact us as an English Lit class? That's the question in front of us. I think, as writers, we are looking to lots of different mediums to pull inspiration or to do research. And I'm not gonna lie, as a writer myself, the web is incredibly useful. If I need one little bit of information, I can get it in a sentence. But what is that doing to me long term? We're going to stop here for today because we're running low on time, but those are some of the questions I want you to think about. Take the next few minutes, keep reading the rest of the article. If you don't finish, that's okay, take it home, finish it there, and after you're done, I want you to write a one-page reflection. No more than one page, so it doesn't have to be a full page, but consider these two questions. First, how does technology impact you as an individual, as a learner? So how has it shaped the way you study, shaped the way you do research for class, maybe even shaped your writing style? With internet speak, it's certainly changed the way we talk and communicate with each other. And that's huge because the written word is one of the most powerful forms of communication. So think about that. And then the second question I want you to think about is how will technology, or how could technology impact us as a class, as an English lit class? What, inside and outside the classroom. So, how could it shape and change the way we learn in a classroom than what may have been a more traditional approach? And how will it impact you outside? And it can be good or bad. Good or bad. Technology is not a bad thing. It's just the application, how we use it, that could be good or bad. And I think there's a lot of great things about technology that are going to do a lot of really cool things for us here in the classroom and allow us to do things differently than they've been done before. So hopefully the things that we talk about, the things that we read will be much more engaging for you, much more interesting. And lastly, I just want you to think about as you're reading it, if you come across a word or a concept that you don't understand, just make a note. Or if there's something really interesting in there that really spoke to you, make a note of that so we can discuss that next class. But I really want you guys to be thinking about this because, personal opinion, I think we've become too dependent on technology, and I do think it's shaped the way that we approach school, the world, and we become so dependent on it. I don't know if we could function without it. And we are going to put that idea to the test here soon. So get ready for that. But yeah, so take a few minutes, read as much as you can, the few minutes we have left of class, and then that's your homework for next time, and we'll discuss some more. So keep going.